In a research experiment, a population of fruit flies is increasing according to the law of exponential growth. That law is simply stating that our population after time t is a times e to the bt with a positive p. Positive b. We have a couple of pieces of information here. We know after 2 days there are 100 flies. So that's just saying that p of 2 is 100 if we're measuring t in days. Well, then that means I can go ahead and plug that into this formula. I get a times e to the b times 2 equals the 100. And I know that after 4 days, there are 300 flies. So a times e to the b times 4, because after 4 days, there are 300 flies. So this gives me a system of equations that I could use to solve for both a and b. Well, if I solve for a here, by dividing by e to the 2b, I get a equals 100 over e to the 2b. And I can take that and plug it in right here. So 100 over e to the 2b times e to the 4b is equal to 300. Well, now e to the 4b over e to the 2b, we can subtract the exponents since they have the same base. And we get e to the, 4b minus 2b is 2b. Now dividing both sides by 100, we get e to the 2b equals 3. To solve for b, we need to get rid of this base of e, which we can do with a natural log. So we take the natural log of both sides. That cancels the e on the left, and we have 2b equals the natural log of 3. Divide by 2, and finally we have b equals 1/2 the natural log of 3. Now I can go ahead and plug this into the calculator if I'd like. So 1/2 times the natural log of 3. And I can get a decimal, okay, for that. This is an approximation, of course. So I can use that decimal, or I could just use this exact value. I want to show you that in the calculator, and in any calculator, there's going to be a store functionality. In other words, you can define the numbers that you get into their own variables. And so I'm going to go ahead and do that. This was b, all right? So I'm going to take that number, and I'm going to store it, STO, with this arrow. That's this right here. So second, and then that arrow. It's going to store that in, and I'm going to click b. Okay, and now hit enter. And now every time I type b, okay, it is that number. So that's just going to help me now if I want to plug in another number later on. Okay, I also, of course, got a. I know that a is equal to 100 over e to the 2b. So now I can get a. All right, I'm going to do 100 over e to the 2b. And that gives me, that's 100 thirds. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and take that, and I'm going to store that in a. So now my calculator knows a and b. And now in this problem, okay, we want to know specifically how many flies there will be after 5 days. So we're looking for p of 5. Okay, and of course we know that our form is a times e to the b times t, which in this case is 5. And I can go ahead and plug this into the calculator. My calculator knows a and b. So I can do a e to the b times 5. Go ahead and hit enter, and it gives me an exact form. For that, I'm going to go ahead and do Control Enter. And because we're talking about the number of flies, it wouldn't really make sense to have a decimal. So I'm going to go ahead and round this to the nearest whole number, since I can only have a whole number of flies. This is about 520.